Hi, I'm VanArendonk Baugh, and we're going to talk about Senjafuda. So Senjafuda are a cultural phenomenon that probably didn't get covered in your freshman Japanese class. Or maybe it did. I never took a freshman Japanese class, so I don't know. But if you are like me, you might discover Senjafuda something like this. You're walking through Japan, you come across an interesting shrine or a similar site, in this case, Sazaedo in Aizu Wakamatsu, which is a really fascinating place that probably deserves its own talk. It is a completely wooden structure built in 1796, and it's hexagonal all the way up the spiraling staircase. It basically forms a double helix. So as you go up, you're never going to pass another person going up or down, because the path is a double helix all the way up. It was originally a Buddhist temple, I think still technically is, and there were 33 Kannon images that you could pray to as you went up, and each image represented a different temple, so it kind of counted as visiting 33 temples. So anyway, really interesting place. So you go in and you start walking up this double helix pathway, and you notice as you go there are some strips of paper on the wall with kanji on them, and that's interesting. So you just kind of note that as you're going, and then you notice there are more of them, and as you continue you notice there are more and more and more of them, and you start wondering, okay, what are these? They're clearly something to do with this shrine or temple, but there are so many of them, and so what is actually going on here? This is what Senjafuda are. Originally, they are strips of paper with kanji representing a daimyo or a pseudonym, but they began much earlier than, and they still are being traded and collected now. So let's talk about this a little bit. Senjafuda, sometimes translated votive slip or a votive tag, or it's Fuda Satsu can be translated a couple different ways, but literally sen, 1,000, ja, shrine, and then Fuda, the tag, slip, amulet, something like that. It could also be called no satsu, which is a donation tag or slip. And these actually started in the Heian era with bamboo slats that you would hang at shrines or temples, and probably began more associated with Shinto practice, but then quickly got incorporated into Buddhist practice. And so these older ones, obviously they were originally wood, but then as they became paper, they're almost always black and white, very, very distinct look to them. And these bear a daime and possibly a mon or crest or a logo, especially in later times when companies started making these, which we will talk about. They are a standard size. It is 5 by 2 inches. That is a 1 cho, and each slip is a cho in size. As time passed, these became collector's items, not just a religious practice, and so that is they grew and grew. So if you think about, everybody was putting up tags with their names on them, and then like, oh, you've got a cool mon on yours, and oh, that's kind of an interesting thing. Well, I kind of want this, and I'll trade you this for that. And they very quickly built into a cultural phenomenon, and these kind of became the Pokemon cards of their day. So if you think back, if you're old enough to remember the 80s, and you remember the sticker collections, and everybody trading stickers, and I've got 2 of these, and I'll give you these 3 stickers for one of those rare stickers, and that kind of thing. That's exactly what they are. People have always been the same. So you've got 2 kinds of Senjafuda that you might see nowadays. The harifuda are made specifically for pasting. Those again are the black and white ones that you just saw. And then there's kokan fuda, and if you are a certain generation of geek and you think of toka kokan, it's the same kokan. It's exchange. It's for trading. And so those are made specifically for collecting rather than for pasting. And those are going to be more detailed and with color, because they're made for appreciating close up, not for pasting up high on a ceiling or a tori or something. But even as they were changing and being modified. They kept the daime. Sometimes you'll see logos on them. Companies started making these, so you'll see corporate logos on them. They generally have art and some sort of written element, and they became such a cultural phenomenon that you will see them used as corporate flyers or something like that. So what these might look like up close now. Again, I said they were a single cho to start, but as the art form developed, they realized you could print two that are designed to be viewed together, and so you could get a two cho set. And so you see here on the left, you will see a couple of single cho fuda, and then on the right you see some pairs that work together to make a photo, or I'm sorry, to make an image. And you'll see that the art still distinctly marks it as two pieces that are meant to be viewed together. You can see on the borders that they're still depicting them as two separate pieces. And then you can build up to multiple pieces working together to make a larger image. And then you can get absolutely crazy with this monstrous 32 cho set. So you've got just a ridiculous number of pieces that have to go together. So we're definitely into that sticker collection book now. All right. So as we're passing through this, and we're going to talk about the history of the Senjafuda, they really started in kind of the place of ema, not replacing ema, but in serving the same similar function. Ema is literally picture horse. So if you go back far enough, it was common to donate a horse to a shrine. It's a very valuable donation. But it is, as I said, it's a costly donation. It's a little inconvenient for most of us. And so you could donate a picture of a horse to show your good intentions. So that's your ema, your picture of a horse. And so those morphed a little bit into pictures just depicting various religious or historical themes. And if you're looking at this image right here and you're saying, Laura, I hear what you're saying, but that's not a horse. That's clearly an oni in drag trying to steal back his missing arm. And, you would be right. So this is a multi-cho set. And it's referencing a legend that's Ibaraki Doji disguised as Watanabe no Suna's aunt, so he could sneak in and steal back the arm that Watanabe is taken off, and so yeah, that's going on there. But what's interesting about this is it's very definitely depicted as, it's presented as an ema. It has that black lacquered wooden frame around it. It's all just part of the art, so they've faked a wooden frame there, complete with metallic embellishments on the frame, and like, and it's a really nice ema, except it's not an ema, it's Senjafuda. So and then if you look at these fuda here, you will see these are what ema actually more typically look like, these framed images that you'll see here. So here you have the fuda representing ema in their fuda. So what got to be really kind of fun about this is originally it started with you would paste this fuda with your daime on it so that your name would remain at the temple or shrine while you went on and did other things. So you were kind of getting credit for still being there, even though you were going about other life activities. It also advertised that you had made the pilgrimage to that site. You had been there, right? And so you can see how it wouldn't take much for that quickly to become a sort of contest. So, gotta paste them all kind of mentality. And also who can get their fuda in the most difficult, the most hard to reach locations. So quickly this became an informal, competition just socially. And what's interesting is while it ostensibly developed as a devotional practice, I'm going to put my name at this shrine so it can remain here. It was kind of considered poor manners, and the priests really kind of considered it a nuisance because people are pasting stuff all over their shrines. And so you had a little bit of a rivalry start to develop between pastors of Senjafuda and the priests and the people who were trying to take care of these shrines and temples. And you can see in these fuda here, It's great because the art on the Fuda started to represent this competition here. So we've got the pasters who are pasting up, and this might be an I'd have to look at it more closely. It might be a Noah, like one of the guardian statues in the gate, but they've got the wire across the front to prevent people from pasting directly on the statues. So they're pasting to the side there. You've got all the tori with the pasted tags on them, and then if you look at the larger the multi-cho Fuda there, you can see people pasting, you can see people writing stuff down, there's people just painting directly on the tori, there's some people having a smoke with Senjafuda, all packed up, ready to go by their feet. And you can see that the man using the long pole there, they actually had collapsible pasting poles that then you could snap out and put on your walking stick and use it to paste something up high really quickly, so that you could reach places where nobody else could reach them. Your name would be higher, or the priest would have a hard time taking it down, all this sort of thing. And in this one, you have we have just completed a scuffle between a Senjafuda paster and someone at the temple who was trying to interrupt this. And what's fun, you can see the pasting pole in his hand, but he's very closely depicted in the posture of one of the shiteno, which we'll talk about in another time. But the shiteno are almost always depicted, holding a weapon and trampling on the evil spirits, the jaki, and so you have this Senjafuda paster who has conquered this priest who tried to stop him pasting on this tori, and so you can. There's a lot of humor that's going on here, and the amount of humor that is really included in this. So here you have a 4-cho set showing the newly dead arriving in hell. So there's Enma, the king of hell. We'll see him again, and he's got all of his accoutrement that he uses to judge the people who are arriving in hell. And one of these is this mirror that shows the sins that you've committed while you were alive. And if we look in this mirror, they are they are found guilty of pasting Senjafuda. So what you have here is Senjafuda art indicating that they will be judged in hell for pasting Senjafuda, which, at least they're very aware. And I do want to mention just really quickly, because I don't know who might happen across this video as it's running, but you'll notice the symbol that is on the front of Enma's desk, that is not a Nazi swastika. That is a symbol that's been used in Buddhism for literally thousands of years. While I'm not going to advocate making anything new with a swastika on it or something like that, I'm not going to be upset about it appearing in art that was made many generations before Nazis. So just be aware if you're seeing that, take it in cultural context. Okay, so we have people starting to collect these Senjafuda, and they're starting to trade them. And originally they were doing this as just kind of meetups, like I'm pasting at this shrine, you're pasting at this shrine, let's just get together at the tea house and swap some stuff. And those things started to formalize. So they started developing these kokan Fuda that are, again, instead of being pasted, way up high where, you're just seeing that it exists. Now these are things that we're putting into scrapbooks and we're just trading as art items and as collectibles. So they start getting a lot more detailed, and we start getting a lot more color, and this is really becoming a place to kind of show off your art ability. Lots of your famous woodblock print artists start getting involved in this. Excuse me. And so you'd have no satsukai, which is literally meeting for nosatsu, and which remember is another name for Senjafuda, and they would get together. So this is a collection. This is a Fuda collection depicting such a meetup where everybody's trading. So you can see everybody trading their Fuda here. So, and actually, I'm sorry, I have a note to myself here. This particular illustration is by Utagawa Hiroshige, who was, again, one of the pretty famous woodblock artists. I should pay attention to my notes as I'm going. And as I mentioned, we think, not terribly clear, but we think that this started largely with Shinto practice in the Heian era. So it's going to be pretty closely tied to Inari, the deity of rice and with foxes as messengers. Probably have encountered this. So we have lots of Inari and Kitsune references that still persist through the centuries in the Senjafuda. So you can see some ema on the sacred tree there. You see the tori and the fox statues. The one on the right is Sanko Inari. It's a shrine that is known for helping to find lost cats. So they have these cute little cats on their Fuda, so that's cool. And then how I actually discovered Senjafuda initially is their connection with depicting yokai, because they were a popular art form around the time that yokai were becoming kind of a fun, not that they hadn't existed, but becoming kind of fun in the cultural forefront, like let's talk about them and tell more stories about them and that sort of thing. So you have lots of yokai depictions. This one in the middle, I want to point out specifically, it's the kappa holding a cucumber, which of course is part of kappa lore. Lots of the Fuda that you're seeing today, I took from the University of Oregon's online collection, which was mostly connected. I think they have a couple of large collections, but one of these was collected by an American named Frederick Starr, who was just really, he was a big figure. He was a big name fan in the Fuda circles, and collected, I think, tens of thousands of these. But this was one of his that was made for him for trading, and so if you look there, it's got it's supposedly his name at the top, and I'm thinking that's probably Ateji. That's kanji chosen for the phonetics rather than using katakana or something, but I'm not sure of that, so please don't quote me there. What you will notice is the smaller kanji above the kappa's knee, and that is Beikoku, which is America, rice country. So yeah, it's just, you can see that these could get very personalized. So here you have an American collector with his, living in Japan and trading for Fuda, and he's got his own collection of Fuda. So lots of fun things, the kitsune tricking people into all sorts of things. So you just have lots of these just really fun and playful yokai images. And I like these, this collection of all these supernatural things happening. So you've got the priest who's seeing the stone lantern growing feet in a face, and he's getting grabbed by a tori. And the haunted tea house on the right is pretty awesome. We've got the umibozu, which are the sea monks that will rise up. And the one on the left is Okiku, who is one of the famous ghost stories. And we'll talk about that in the folklore presentation as well. So, okay, so you pick up all kinds of regional variations. So in this case, Otsu is famous for certain images, and I'm condensing hugely. So you've got the Oni as an itinerant monk and the Wisteria maiden, appearing together in Senjafuda, just referencing all of these things. So one of the ways that yokai started becoming a part of the Senjafuda imagery has to do with Tengu Kohei. Oh my gosh. And this was a samurai who started going around on pilgrimages on behalf of a lord with smallpox. And so he was sent out here to just try to do some good, go to as many shrines as you can, paste things up. We're going to do everything we can to help with the smallpox case. Excuse me, I'm going to try to keep my mouth working here. Because he was a samurai, so a person of high rank, operating in official capacity, going around pasting things, he helped to sort of legitimize and popularize pasting Senjafuda. And while he was born with the name Kinai Nobutoshi, his popular, what he was known as, was Tengu Kohei. Tengu obviously being a homonym for Tengu, the yokai. And so even though it is not spelled the same. Japan has never met a pun it didn't like. And so we have lots of Tengu references that just got baked into the Fuda culture. So here, this is one of Tengu Kohai's Fuda, and this is his full name there on the right. On the left, you will see that the Tengu face there, it's actually made of really squiggled out characters to form the face, which is a little bit fun. That's Kyukoku and Kohei. And then the Tengu part of that just is in the drawing itself. So it just kind of it's a visual pun is what's going on here. So because of that, we start seeing Tengu in a lot of Fuda, and then you're going to get the rest of the yokai references that happen with that as well. So just all kinds of, really pretty art, fun referential stuff, lots of cultural phenomena. You are going to see a lot of things with Enma, who is, as I said earlier, the king of hell, and there just was a popular and fun subject for a number of reasons. This one in the middle I like because that tag that's on his nose, the Yasu on his nose, that's actually a separate piece of paper that's been pasted on. So you have a Fuda pasted onto a Fuda, which is, again, pretty referential. On the right there, you'll see that giant 32 Cho Enma that we saw earlier. Every one of those Fuda that are in that picture, pasted on the shrine in the image, is the actual daimei of somebody who contributed to this project. So you would have people go in together to make really cool things to trade around. This one I liked, and I know it's going to be really hard to see here, but I wanted to share it anyway. This is a collection of Fuda to make a picture, and it's supposed to look like a scroll. So if you look at the left and the right, you'll see the scroll rolling and unrolling. So it's supposed to look like a much more archaic picture scroll depicting hell and all the things that we were talking about with that. So that is my super brief introduction to Senjafuda. I've just been learning about them myself, and I wanted to share that. And if you guys have questions or comments, you know where to find me here. And here's some references as well where you can see, again, the University of Oregon has some really cool collections that they have partially digitized, and those are online. So that is it. And hey, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you in another video.